They wear smiles like disguises. They speak gently, mirror your principles, even applaud your success, but only until you turn your back. These individuals are not friends, they are leeches hidden beneath politeness. And Machiavelli, known for his harsh truths about human nature, warned about such people long ago, not with optimism or kindness, but with fire, distrust, and surgical insight. Because in the arena of power, loyalty is not earned, it's turned into a weapon. And having the wrong ally beside you is often more dangerous than facing 10 enemies ahead. Machiavelli believed that most alliances are formed out of necessity, not genuine connection. These people don't love you, they love the benefits you bring. Prestige, protection, or the illusion of superiority. And the moment those advantages disappear, so does their loyalty. Keep them close, and you won't be betrayed by open enemies, but by those who pledged false loyalty with hollow intentions. The first type you must remove is the silent rival. They pose as your greatest cheerleader, but something always feels slightly wrong. Their compliments come late, their congratulations lack warmth. When you shine, they fall silent, like a candle dimming in brighter light. These individuals don't despise you, they resent you. And resentment is a quiet toxin. It turns admiration into bitterness. It causes subtle backstabbing, where they twist conversations to minimize your influence, guide others away from you, or silently hope for your missteps. Machiavelli might say, if someone celebrates your failures and grows quiet during your rise, they aren't a friend, they're waiting their turn. The second type is the eternal victim. They approach you full of sorrow, constantly needing help, time, energy, and attention. They manipulate you into feeling responsible for their misery, constructing a trap where you carry their problems. But Machiavelli would warn, compassion can be a chain. These people siphon your energy while appearing helpless. They make you feel noble for shouldering their pain, but while you bear theirs, no one holds yours. In their world, your needs are always secondary, and over time, you weaken as they settle into dependence. Machiavelli understood the danger of emotional parasites. The more you give to someone who endlessly takes, the closer you get to collapse. And when that moment comes, they won't appreciate your effort. They'll fault you for not doing more. And finally, there's the chameleon, the one who adapts to everyone around them. Their tone changes with the crowd. Their values shift with convenience. You'll notice they speak one version of the truth to you and another behind your back. To Machiavelli, this was the most dangerous of all, not for their overt betrayal, but for their calculated nature. Every word, every move, every alliance is strategic. They wear allegiance like a costume, changing masks depending on who holds influence. Keep them nearby and you'll never know where they stand, until you find them standing above you, knife in hand. These three types of companions are not accidents. They are tests, and most people don't pass. Why? Because cutting ties with a friend feels heartless. We mistake longevity for loyalty. We believe that shared memories are enough to sustain trust. But in Machiavelli's world, and yours, sentimentality has no value. What matters is precision, clarity, and necessary ruthlessness. He believed that achieving greatness requires discipline, and sometimes that discipline must be exacting, especially when it concerns who you allow in your life. Real power doesn't lie in how many stand beside you, but in how few can actually threaten you. You must become cold, not emotionally, but in your judgment. Learn to listen not just to the words people speak, but to the way their presence impacts your strength. Do they help you concentrate or drain your focus? Do they lift your vision or distract you with disorder? Do they amplify your reputation or suppress it in silence? You always know the answer, deep down. Machiavelli would say, when someone reveals their true self, don't plead for change. Cut them off. Not later, not after one more conversation, immediately. No drama, no explanations. Power is quiet. Let your absence haunt them. Let your silence define you. You owe them nothing, especially not your downfall. They'll label you as cold, uncaring, unjust. That's how they try to regain power, not through aggression, but through guilt. Guilt is the rope they failed to tighten when you were still within reach, so they pull harder as you walk away. They'll say, "After everything I did for you," or "I was only being real." But these aren't admissions. They're traps. Machiavelli understood that manipulation often wears the mask of kindness. It hides in nostalgia, in the illusion of shared safety. And the moment you start placing your goals above their feelings, they'll show their true colors. Most people don't realize how many friendships exist, not from alignment, but from emotional dependency. Shallow friendships endure because facing the truth is uncomfortable. The truth that someone isn't helping you grow, they're keeping you stagnant. Not from hatred, but because your progress unsettles their comfort. Your confidence reminds them of their own hesitation. Your growth highlights their inertia. They won't confront you, they'll distract you. They'll nudge you to take it easy, to lighten up, to stop being so driven. But beneath those soft words is a clear goal: to keep you within reach. Machiavelli would caution, the one who encourages rest during your building phase doesn't desire your success. They prefer your stillness. You must learn to cut through this emotional smokescreen. These people don't always act out. They don't always yell or sabotage. Many seem kind, thoughtful, even supportive. That's what makes them so risky. Because when you're at your lowest, they offer comfort. But when you rise, they vanish. Or worse, they stay close, pretending, all while quietly undermining you. True betrayal doesn't arrive with noise. It unfolds slowly and steadily, and it usually wears the face of someone you once believed you could trust. Ask yourself, who in your circles celebrates your growth the loudest? Who falls silent when you succeed? Who only checks in when they need something? Who subtly makes you feel lesser? Machiavelli would advise you to observe, not confront, to examine them with the detached gaze of a strategist, not the emotional lens of a companion. Because once they reveal their true nature, you must respond with precision, not out of emotion, not with revenge, but with finality. Step back, sever the bond, offer no explanations. A ruler never justifies the removal of a threat. They simply remove it. Your life, your energy, your aspirations. This is your domain, and trespassers deserve no repeated warnings. Here's the harsh reality. Someone doesn't have to be malicious to be dangerous. A person can be kind, charismatic, even well-meaning, and still be misaligned with your future. Loyalty is not the only measure. The real question is, do they sharpen your instinct or blunt your edge? If it's the latter, then you're dragging dead weight disguised as loyalty, and that burden will cost you more than you realize. You're not meant to bring everyone with you. Not all are worthy of the seat you're setting. Some individuals are here to be lessons, not permanent fixtures. Removing them isn't cruelty, it's clarity. And clarity is where all power begins. The longer you keep these shadows nearby, the more they dim your light. A single envious comment can sour 10 praises. One cunning friend can dismantle a decade of discipline. A mask can conceal danger, and when it finally slips, it's often far too late. So trust that tension in your gut. If someone makes your intuition stir, it isn't paranoia, it's a warning. And Machiavelli would urge you, heed that warning or pay the consequences. The real threat is rarely a stranger. It's the one you've let closest, the one who understands your patterns, your drive, your vulnerabilities, because you let them in. And when they turn, it's not simply broken trust, it's a weaponized familiarity. They exploit what they know. Your fears become their tools, your dreams become targets, and your silence becomes their platform. Machiavelli saw this betrayal with chilling precision. He wrote that a man must master both the fox and the lion, cunning enough to avoid traps and fierce enough to destroy them. But most only learn to roar. They react when hurt, they attack when slighted. But that's not dominance. That's exposure. And every reaction leaves you open. The truly powerful act like foxes. They don't roar, they vanish. Quietly, entirely. No confrontation, no goodbye. Because closure is a luxury for the weak. Real power doesn't ask for understanding. That's why eliminating these three types of counterfeit companions is essential. The silent rival, the eternal victim, the shapeshifter. They operate in the same fashion through distraction. They redirect your attention away from your purpose and toward themselves. They turn your progress into a performance judged by their approval, where their validation starts to outweigh your actual success. That's not connection. That's emotional theft. Reflect for a moment. How often have you watered down your goals to avoid making someone else uncomfortable? How many achievements have you minimized so they wouldn't feel inadequate? How many choices have you postponed simply because you feared their opinion more than your own future regrets? These aren't small compromises. They're cracks in your armor. And Machiavelli would name them for what they are: fatal. The mind is like a kingdom, and those you let into it determine whether it becomes a stronghold or a ruin. Each person either fortifies your defenses or secretly marks escape routes. And when power shifts, when you no longer cater to their comfort, they strike. Not loudly, not all at once, but through precise acts of betrayal. A whisper, a withheld opportunity, a subtle hesitation when your name arises. Machiavelli wrote that a wise leader never lets emotion override discernment. He viewed the heart not as sacred, but as an instrument, one that needs guarding, sharpening, and at times, closing completely, especially to those who confuse closeness with entitlement. You owe no one lifelong access, not even those you once cherished. Because when love is laced with weakness, it turns into bondage. Keeping them close isn't loyalty. It's fear. Fear of solitude, of conflict, of being labeled as cold. But remember this: being feared is not the true danger. Being abandoned by your potential, that is. Letting go of these three kinds of people isn't cruelty, it's self-respect. With silence, you declare that your journey will not be controlled by guilt, nostalgia, or obligation. You are no longer the sacrificial friend. You are the sovereign who decides. And in that shift, from passive inclusion to deliberate selection, true transformation begins. Most never reach this shift. They cling to lifeless ties. They drag decaying relationships behind them, calling it loyalty, calling it history, calling it friendship. But you are not most. You weren't born to be agreeable. You were meant to rise. And that rise demands isolation, discernment, strategic disconnection, and a sacred devotion to those few who truly earn your loyalty. So inhale, scan your circle, and cut, swiftly, guiltlessly, because the deeper you move into your potential, the fewer companions are worthy of joining you. Power isn't built through addition, it's forged through elimination. The fewer the distractions, the sharper the clarity. The weaker the ties, the stronger the foundation. And Machiavelli knew this well. A man doesn't become powerful by gathering crowds, but by choosing the right few and cutting the rest with no hesitation. Every false friend you remove is not a loss. It's a recovery, a reclaiming of your time, clarity, and energy. Picture your life as a fortress. Everyone inside either reinforces your defenses or quietly chisels escape routes. The silent rival moves slowly, mimicking your victories from across the room while planning your downfall. The constant victim saps your foundation, draining your energy and pulling you off course with endless emotional turbulence. And the shapeshifter, he's already within the walls, speaking your language, mirroring your values, until the moment betrayal becomes beneficial. They all must be removed. Because the real threat isn't only in their actions, it's in what they turn you into. Uncertain, distracted, less effective. You begin to question your instincts. Your pace slows. Your edge softens. You swap decisive action for drawn-out discussions. You start explaining choices that never needed justification. That's how power fades. Not through betrayal in the spotlight, but through gradual erosion. Machiavelli would remind you, power is never granted. It must be seized. And once held, it must be protected like a throne in a pit of vipers. Don't apologize for being discerning. Don't shrink when they call you cold. The weak label as cruel what they fail to control. Your silence isn't fragility, it's architecture. Your detachment isn't apathy, it's calculation. A ruler must stay above the chaos of emotion. And if protecting your path means ending certain ties, then let them go. Here's the unfiltered reality. Those you cut off won't break. They'll adapt. They'll find fresh hosts to exploit, new stages for their performance, new faces to reflect their borrowed virtues. But you'll breathe again. You'll move with speed, think with precision, act with power. That's the goal. You don't cut to hurt, you cut to liberate. You owe the world the best version of yourself, and that version cannot emerge from within noise and distraction. Machiavelli argued that most failure stems not from lack of skill or bad timing, but from poor judgment in choosing allies. He warned leaders, never surround yourself with those whose motives aren't completely aligned with yours. Because a single misaligned companion, even if loyal, can undo 10 years of effort with one poor choice. So stop asking whether you're being too severe. Ask this instead. Is this person helping me become who I'm meant to be, or are they holding me hostage to who I was? If the answer points to your past, then the decision is already made. You're simply delaying, and that delay is draining more than you realize. You don't elevate by being agreeable. You ascend by being essential. And that means rejecting not other people's weakness, but your tolerance of it. Detach, assess, decide, cut swiftly. Don't look back. Because once someone's true nature is visible, keeping them around is no longer their betrayal. It's yours. And betrayal is a cost you can no longer afford. Hi, Chat GPT. There's a point in every rise when silence says more than words, when distance becomes a declaration, and absence speaks with undeniable clarity. That turning point, the moment you choose to walk away, isn't the conclusion of your story. It's the true beginning. Machiavelli believed that meaningful transformation demands sacrifice, not of bodies, but of bonds. Emotional ties must be severed so that clarity can emerge. Connections must be let go so vision can come into focus. He advised leaders to be wary of sentiment because emotions distort boundaries, cloud reasoning, and breed hesitation. And hesitation, that's the one luxury no leader, no thinker, no builder can afford. When you pause, you don't fail instantly. You lose in subtle, permanent ways. These friends you must cut loose. They may not always mean to hurt you, but in Machiavelli's view, intent is irrelevant. What matters are results, not emotions. The real question is, do they sharpen your edge? Do they strengthen your instincts, test your flaws, honor your time, or do they just prefer comfort, yours and theirs? Because comfort is not safety, it's slow deterioration disguised as peace. You can't cultivate anything lasting in a garden full of weeds. You need breathing room, you need resistance, you need truth. And to build that, you have to eliminate comfort. That means declining invitations, letting messages go unanswered, withholding explanations, because not all endings need closure. Some relationships just need a door silently shut forever. You don't owe an explanation. You don't have to justify your decision. You don't even need a villain. They're simply no longer part of the chapter you're writing. If you're unsure who they are, ask yourself, who makes you shrink? Who makes you doubt your intensity? Who mocks your ambition as pride? Who appears only when they need something and vanishes when you need everything? These are not companions. They're burdens dressed as support. Machiavelli understood. Once loyalty is questioned, it must be discarded. Because once trust cracks, it becomes a threat. If you sense it, if you doubt it, if your gut tightens in their presence, that's not paranoia. That's intuition fighting through social noise. Listen, cut early, cut clean, cut without spectacle. Because the truth is this: once these imposters are gone, You will face isolation, but it won't last. That solitude will evolve into power. It's the space where your mind regains balance, your purpose sharpens, and your identity reclaims itself. It's where leaders are shaped, where certainty becomes unshakable. And when the right people appear, they won't need explanations. They won't be shaken by your silence or offended by your drive. They'll recognize your intensity because they carry it too. They'll fuel it, not smother it. But you won't meet them until you release those who've long outlived their purpose, until you stop confusing the past you've shared for the future you deserve. You're not a keeper of wounded egos. You're not a fixer for the emotionally unready. You are not a supporting role in someone else's storyline. You are the designer of your own destiny. And every second you spend engaging with those who drain your spirit is a brick stolen from the empire you're meant to create. Release them. Let them speculate. Let them whisper. Let them sour. Their reactions aren't your burden. Your rise is. The most powerful skill you'll ever master is the ability to walk away, not in bitterness, not in need, but with unwavering calm. Machiavelli knew this intimately. Power isn't demonstrated in loud conflict. It's revealed in quiet removal, in the silent cutting of bonds that no longer elevate you. You don't owe anyone a monologue. You don't need an audience. You vanish. And the void left behind says more than any defense ever could. Here's what many will never acknowledge. When you remove someone, you don't just delete their presence, you reveal their truth. Without your attention to validate them, to absorb their flaws, to excuse their chaos, their real character surfaces. They'll scramble, distort the story, cast you as the villain. Let them. The more they speak, the more they reveal themselves. You don't have to justify your choice. Your results will do that on your behalf. Machiavelli cautioned that emotion is a privilege only the truly powerful can afford. For everyone else, it's a liability, which means you must be clinical, exact in your emotional decisions. Know when to stay, know when to leave. The three false friend types, the ones who envy your progress, exploit your compassion, or pretend to belong in your world, they're no accident. They are shadows drawn to brilliance. And if you let them linger too long, they'll extinguish your light. This isn't about cruelty. It's about control. About ending the habit of glorifying every connection. About no longer keeping people in your life just because they were part of your beginning. Just because they shared a laugh with you once. Just because it's difficult to say goodbye. That resistance, that emotional pause, is the very barrier between you and your full potential. Your drive is sacred. Your focus is sacred. Your hours, your energy, your peace, sacred. And sacred things require guarding. One day, you'll look back and see that your most defining actions were the silent ones. Not the grand speeches, not the conflicts, not the visible wins, but the quiet departures, the ignored messages, the deliberate solitude, until you could walk beside those who truly belong. Machiavelli once said, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But the truth buried within is colder still, that it's better to stand respected in solitude than surrounded by weakness. That loyalty means nothing when it comes from the wrong hands. Your empire, whatever form it takes, won't fall due to outside threats. It will crumble from within if you permit the wrong voices to echo behind your defenses. So, examine your circle. Be unforgiving. And keep this in mind, you don't need more people. You need fewer, sharper, more aligned ones. You don't need louder applause. You need quiet, unwavering loyalty. Most importantly, you don't need anyone who makes the road ahead feel heavier than the one behind you. Let them go. Rise taller. Move with urgency. And let them remain beneath you, watching as you ascend clearer, higher, and alone if that's what it takes. Because Machiavelli never told you to be liked.